My God, I hate drugs.
With a backdrop of bombings in a cathedral in Holosulu that killed at least 20, the Supreme Court will hear today arguments of those pro and against martial law extension in Mindanao. Our Justice correspondent Andrew Alimario explains to us what will happen later.
A departure from the traditional practice, Solicitor General Jose Calida will face first the justices of the Supreme Court to defend President Duterte's decision to extend martial law in Mindanao. A court insider says the government has the burden to show sufficiency of facts for the extension of military rule for the whole year. Calida is no stranger to this. In fact, he has never lost when it comes to petitions challenging the proclamation and two extensions of martial law. Petitioners face an uphill battle. They argue the government already achieved its goal for imposing martial law in Mindanao when it ended the Marawi siege and defeated the Maute group. They insist public safety in Mindanao is not imperiled because rebellion does not exist and persist. But the government disagrees. It explains although there were gains during the extension of martial law in 2018, the armed forces and the national police showed facts indicating that rebellion still exists in Mindanao. In his letter to Congress, President Duterte enumerated bombings committed by various terror groups in Basilan, Sultan Kudarat, and General Santos City. And then came the twin blasts in Holo Cathedral. It's highly possible that Calida will highlight the attack as basis to convince the court to allow the extension of military rule. Malacanang says the bombings further stress the need to place Mindanao under martial law.
We're saying that martial law, despite martial law, there has been bombing and therefore martial law should be lifted. With more reason, martial law should be in place because if you can do that under a martial law regime, then the more reason you should maintain it and be more strict in the implementation of security measures in that area.
Malacanang says it's not disappointed with how the military is securing Holo, specifically in implementing martial law.
The fact alone that there is only one incident of bombing for the last, 1 year plus, that means martial law is effective. Can you imagine how many bombings there would have been if there was no martial law there?
The Supreme Court already ruled that the Constitution is silent on how many times Congress may extend a proclamation of martial law. Will this new challenge against President Duterte's action finally succeed? Only the 14 justices led by Duterte appointee Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin can answer. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
CNN Philippines spoke to the parish rector of Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Holosulu. He says the recent blasts were the worst attack the church has experienced.
Lungkot saka very low moral yung aming parishioners. Some of them would want to leave the island, to go far. So it has been the trend sa mga parishioners namin dito when they are threatened, may mga extortion letters, may mga kidnap, nabanta sa kanilang buhay. All they could do is just leave the place. Just in a blink of an eye na magbabago yung kanilang buhay, yung kanilang future. Pag-aaralan at buhay lahat.
The National Bureau of Investigation conducting its own probe on the bombings in Jolo. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara has directed the NBI to build up cases and file charges against those behind the attack. Guevara says he sent NBI operatives in Zamboanga to assist in the investigation. The Justice Chief describes the bombing as a mass murder and desecration of a place of worship.
Heads up, motorist pump prices are up for the fourth consecutive week. Early this morning, oil firms increased gasoline prices by 20 centavos per liter, while diesel went up by 55 centavos. There is also a 40 centavo increase on kerosene. The price hike reflects movements in the international oil market.
Perpetrators managed to slip past through the authorities and carry out the attack using very powerful explosives when security forces should have been on alert for months now over what's supposed to be an impending threat against Jolo.
Parang lumalabas na nakisabay doon sa pagpapalitan ng, kasi it was between the first and the second mass, and doon medyo nagkagulo, kaya doon looks like doon nakapasok.
Now, President Duterte personally inspected the blast site on Monday. He looked around the cathedral to see for himself the massive impact of the twin explosions. The president then visited the wake of those who died in the incident, speaking to families and loved ones, offering condolences and government assistance. He also checked on the conditions of soldiers who were wounded while responding to the blasts. In a security briefing, the president reiterated his order for the AFP and the PNP to finish off the terror groups in the island, particularly the Abu Sayyaf.
Of course, inulit niya na talagang ubusin na itong ASG, no? Galit na galit siya, of course. Yung sympathy and his condolences in-extend niya sa mga pamilya ng mga namatay.
At least 18 people who were severely wounded in the blasts have been airlifted to Zamboanga City so they can get better medical attention. Malacanang says no amount of terrorism can stop efforts to bring peace to Mindanao. The blasts at the Jolo Cathedral come just days after the referendum for the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. In Jolo, Sulu, David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Authorities are pointing at 6 people who could be behind the attack. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon said they are looking at 2 groups and 6 persons of interest based on recovered closed-circuit television footage. He notes suspicious movements by the persons of interest after the bombs were set off. In an interview with CNN Philippines Newsnight, the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao police chief clarified only 4 of the 6 persons of interest were seen running after the explosions. The 2 others were not in the vicinity of the cathedral during the incident.
One of them passed something to
yung isang kasama.
It looks like a cell phone. Parang may pinasa doon sa kanya while they were running. I think they already mentioned that they are members of the younger members of the Abu Sayyaf group, the Ajang. We're still checking. We're still looking into it. Indeed, they're. I think na-identify doon was only one.
Oh, all right. Yeah? Can you share his name? Are you at liberty to do that? Huh?
We'll have it confirmed. We'll have it confirmed first.
While authorities are investigating an American organization, Site Intelligence Group reports global terrorist group ISIS has claimed responsibility for what it calls a dual suicide bombing in Jolo.
A check on our global headlines. At least 3 people were killed and 172 people injured after a deadly tornado hit Havana in Cuba. Some people said the tornado sounded like a jet engine. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel visited emergency crews around the city and said the damage was severe. People are now clearing debris and dealing with flooding. Building damage forced one maternity hospital to evacuate. Some cars were seen covered in bricks and debris. Low-level areas along the coast were hit especially hard with flooding. State weather crews were out Monday assessing the damage to determine the tornado's strength. UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Calamarde is heading the international inquiry into the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Now, you may remember her as the one who proposed an investigation into the Philippines government war on drugs, which did not sit well with President Rodrigo Duterte. Joining Calamarde in the Khashoggi's inquiry are British human rights lawyer Baroness Helena Kennedy and University of Coimbra Professor Duarte Nuno Vieira. The UN human rights experts arrived in Turkey Monday for a week-long visit. They also met with the Turkish foreign minister in Ankara. According to a UN statesman, the findings will then be reported to the UN Human Rights Council during the June 2019 session. And a milkman is being hailed as a hero after catching a baby that fell from the 3rd story of an apartment building in China. You can see a woman perched on a window ledge holding a baby as smoke fills her apartment. Her precious bundle slips from her arms. Fortunately, a milkman who happened to be in the area made that amazing catch. Both baby and mom are doing fine.
In sports, tennis superstar Novak Djokovic is looking forward to the next Grand Slam tournament of the year. The world #1 in men's tennis, fresh from his victory at the Australian Open, already has his sights set on the French Open this May. Djokovic hopes to become the first men's singles player to hold all 4 Grand Slam titles twice in his career. He won his first and only French Open title in 2016.